Hello. Today we'll talk about how DNS and ICANN work. This is a part of assignment for web architecture course in th-koeln. So we will try to answer some of the major questions. Have you ever thought what really happens when you hit an URL? What happens when you register a domain? Why you cannot have your name as extension of a website like www.google.sandeep instead of google.com? When you hit an URL, let's say th-koeln.de, the request of that particular domain name goes to the recursive DNS recursive resolver. So if I have to explain the DNS recursor, the recursor can be thought of as a librarian who is asked to go find a particular book somewhere in library. The DNS recursor is a server designed to receive queries from a client machines through applications such as web browser. In the next step, the query goes to the root name server. The root name server is the first step in translating human readable host names into IP address. It can be thought of like an index in a library that points to different racks of books. Typically, it serves as a reference to other more specific location. This root name servers as a response gives the location of the top level domain address, that is the .de in our case. Next, the query goes on to the .de top level domain and it gives the exact address of the name server. So the name server is the final destination where all the domain names are being defined along with the corresponding IP address. And this IP address is being returned to your browser. Your browser needs this IP address because each and every website you log on to have an unique URL or the IP address so that your browser could load all the required resources, be it XML or the HTML files or the CSS files, and load them for you on the browser. Resolving a domain name or getting an IP address against a domain name could be quite tedious process and it could be quite a time consuming process because there are four major servers are involved in that and the request has to go through all these four servers, be it DNS Recursive, root name server, TLD name server, and authoritative name server. So what modern day browsers and computers do is caching. So to define it in one line, the purpose of a caching is to temporarily store data in location that results in improvement in performance and reliability for data requests. The caching could be done in two levels. One is browser DNS caching, in which like the Chrome or Firefox or any of the browser which you are using, they store your most frequently used or visited websites IP address. But those saved records are have a time limit after which they simply get deleted by the browser. Another is like operating system level DNS caching. So once whenever you're hitting an URL and the IP address of against that URL is not there in the caching, then the request actually go out of your computer to the domain name servers. So to explain the caching in with a figure, so let's say like you are trying to log on to google.com. So at first your browser will try to see your browser caching, whether the IP address for google.com is there in the browser or not. If not, then that particular request goes to the operating system caching. Then there the OS resolver checks if the IP address for the google.com is there in the OS resolver cache is there or not. So if yes, that particular IP address get returned by the browser to the browser, or else the request goes on to the name server. Now let's talk about how domain names are registered. Whenever you are registering a domain, you are actually leasing out from the ICANN, which is like International Corporation of Numbers and names and numbers. So to quote from Wikipedia, ICANN is a non-profit organization responsible for coordinating the maintenance and procedures for several databases related to the namespace. So they are actually responsible for maintaining the top level domains like .com, .in, .de, etc. So I can actually provide the domain name via approved registrars like godaddy.com and domains.com from where you are actually purchasing the domains. As a next step, you are actually purchasing the license or right to point your domains wherever you want, be it any hosting website or the static IP address from your home computer. So at the very end, we will try to answer like why you cannot have a custom extension like google.sandeep instead of google.com. So each of the extensions are registered with ICANN, be it .com, .in, .de, anything. So and those top level domain have their own name servers, which have the records for the corresponding domain names and the IP address, right? So to set up like a .sandeep extension, I need to register a top level domain with ICANN, which is quite a costly affair, and it requires a lot of permissions from ICANN. So I can usually have more than 200 plus extensions. So they are majorly categorized into 4 different parts, like generic top level domain like .com, .biz, etc. The country code top level domain like .in, .de, .us, and there are like a sponsored top level domain and infrastructure top level domain. That's all for now. Thank you for listening. I hope this particular video was quite informative for you and you learned some new things. Thank you.